Alright, everybody, it's Haves and the Have Nots review time again. It's that time of the week. I'm going to be reviewing last night's episode, and it was a good episode. Really good show put on by Hanna and Veronica in particular. All that dialogue between them was just fun. Fun stuff. So let's get right into it. We pick up from where we left off last week. Hanna had walked in on Benny and Veronica in the bed, going to town. So let me look at my notes here so I can get all this stuff together. I don't want to miss anything in this review because it was just too good, and I don't want to leave anything out. So Hannah's looking ill. She shuts the door so David won't see what's happening. They're interrupted though because Jeffrey calls. He says, "Well, Mom cut off my credit cards. I'm locked out of my hotel room." David squares that with the manager. Says, "Put everything on my credit card." That's done. He goes back to talking to Hanna. He wants to talk to Benny, and Hanna just explains that he's in the bed. "Let me get my keys for you." Hanna goes into Benny's room and she shuts the door behind her, obviously, so David won't see what's happening in there, so he won't see that his wife is in there. And Hanna just says, "Where the man's keys at?" Benny and Veronica, she's trying to be all smart and stuff and saying, "Hi, Hanna," and Hanna just says, "Shh, your husband is out there." Hanna was not having it. Hanna was not playing in this episode. Once Hanna leaves the room, Veronica just smiles and shrugs like, "Oh well." She's clearly amused by the dissension that all this caused. Now David wants to talk to Benny. So, because he's confused as to why Benny had his truck. Hanna says maybe another time. David wants to know what Benny was arrested for. So here comes Benjamin Young out the room. He says, "I was arrested for getting into a fight last night." And I started once I saw Benny and David in the same scene. If I'm correct, they have not met. This is the first time they've met in the series. But I thought it was a bit of karma for David because David got Benny thrown into jail with that attempt to set Candace up when he put drugs in that car. So Candace would get busted and go to jail, and Benny was driving the car that night and went to jail, got beat up, so he screwed over Benny by way of trying to set up Candace, and now Benny is screwing his wife. Turnabout is fair play. So David leaves, and Benny tries to explain what happened, but Hanna says, "Shh." And she's looking out the window to make sure that David has pulled off. She wants to see if he's left yet, because obviously she doesn't want him to hear all this that's going on. So she waits until he leaves, and David looks around in his car. He sees a handprint on the window. He sees a handprint on the moonroof. I guess he doesn't know what to make of that, but we know why those handprints are there. Okay. So back in the house after David is pulled off, it's time for Hanna to light into Benny. Let me get this line exactly right out of my notes. "Benjamin Young, get her ass out of here right now." Hanna is steamed. I can't think of a better word for Hannah's demeanor in this episode, but steamed. She was angry because I practically see the steam just coming out of her ears, just like it was just like pure anger. Now here comes Veronica out the room. Hannah's like, "Why are you in my house?" Veronica's all calm and everything, being smart. "I was visiting with your son." Hanna frames it a different way. "You were having sex with my child." Veronica shoots back, "He's not a child." And clearly in the context that Hanna was using It wasn't age-wise that Benny is a child. I mean, he's her child, and she doesn't want to see him doing something that could get him into some trouble. Uh, that's sleeping with a married woman that leads to all sorts of trouble. Hannah's been there herself. She'd been messing around with a married man. That was how Benny was produced. So she's been there. She knows. So she wants to keep her son from going down the same path that she did. And so Veronica I guess she's about to go outside and make a call to get a car, and so Benny's like telling her about, in reference to Hanna, well, let me just try to calm her down. And Hannah's not having that. She's like, calm me down. And a lot of people, if you tell them to calm down or say that you're going to calm them down, that just makes them angrier. For whatever reason, calm down does not set well with some people. Let me check my notes again. So Veronica goes outside to make a call to get her car. Hanna asks Benny, I can't believe that you're sleeping with that old ass woman. And it's just a mess. And Benny does not want to explain how this happened or why this happened, and he tries to go outside after Veronica, and Hannah's not having it. She's like, I saw you. I want to know, when did this start? Benny lets out that it started last night. And Hannah's like, I taught you better than this. You are just low down and nasty. That woman is old as I am. And he's like, well, she threw it out there. And Hannah's like, that don't mean you gotta take it. And I'm much Hannah's opinion. Just because somebody puts something out there for you don't mean you have to take it. And I assume Benny's probably not going to be too thrilled with Veronica after he finds out that she got Quincy out of prison to come after his beloved sister Candace. So Hanna forbids Benny from seeing Veronica, and he's like, now wait a minute, I'm grown. And but she's like, but you're in my house. He's all like, well, I'm only here to help you. That's why I'm here. I can make my own way. And Hannah's like, you know what? God will find a way for me. You don't have to say that to me, because God will always find a way, make a way for me. So and she also told him, you wash my sheets, and you better never bring her black ass up in my house again. Was loving Hanna in this episode. So Benny, he's gonna try to take Veronica home, and it's like, no, you ain't doing that. And she says, I'll wait. Veronica's gonna wait for her car, and she's afraid to. She's afraid to wait outside because it's a black neighborhood, so dangerous. But there's probably some sketchy figures shifting around the neighborhood, but she don't want Veronica at her house. Hanna does not want her at her house, so she just says, girl, you're black. Ain't nobody gonna mess with you in this neighborhood. Get your ass out my house. Veronica clearly has no choice but to get out of Hanna's house. So she goes out, and as I said, I guess Benny tried to take her home, and but Hanna was not having that, so Benny just went on. I think he went on back in his room, and Hannah's like, she's just like nasty ass self. I mean, Hanna was just disgusted by all this mess. So let's get on to Candace. Now, Candace she's on the phone. She's closed the deal for the houses, and she's very happy about that. So here comes Jeffrey. He's bought the pregnancy test. He tells Candace, my mother canceled all my credit cards, and he said, but I had cash with me because I figured that she would do this. So Candace gives Jeffrey some cash. It's 10 grand. And he says, no, I don't need this. My dad's going to take care of it. And clearly he's kind of wondering where you're getting all this cash. But He doesn't delve right into it. He just gives Candace the cash back. And then he says, "You look sad. Is everything all right?" And, I don't know why he said that, but I guess there's something. We're going to find out more about that in a later episode. Because I thought Candace was happy because she had closed on those houses and all that. So she tells Jeffrey, I've bought a house and you should move in with me." And she says, "It'll change your life." And Jeffrey's like, "Not for the better." And so after that, here comes Melissa because, Candace said, "Well, we're going to get several pregnancy tests and we're going to take them to make sure you're really pregnant." So she gives her the pregnancy test bag, and Melissa's kind of like, she's having kind of an attitude, and Candace's like, "I know she didn't give me an attitude." And so after a while, I think in between there was another scene. I think it was we see Jim and Wyatt, and he's taken into prison. The guards all like, "Give me your hand or I'll break it," so he can fingerprint him. And Wyatt's trying to be all cute and doing, in his mugshot, he's like doing that. And the actor was a model, so that he was playing off that in that scene. You could tell that the actor is a model because the way he was posing and smiling, it was obvious he was tapping into his strength there. Wyatt does not realize how serious this whole mess is, because here comes the officer saying, "We want to do a full cavity search." And Wyatt's like, Wyatt's like, "No." So they bring in more officers, and they basically just, forcefully do this with Wyatt, which was disgusting. But I guess Jim wants to teach Wyatt a lesson, but frankly, it's too late to teach Wyatt a lesson, this whole scared straight lesson, because Wyatt already got out and hit somebody. But anyway, that was just, Jim and Wyatt weren't a big part of the episode. Their scenes were shorter than the rest of the people, so I'll get back to them a little bit later because they come back at the end. So Jeffrey is anxiously awaiting the results of the pregnancy test. He's like, does it usually take that long? And Candace's like, "How do you expect me to know?" Jeffrey just kind of gives her a look like, "You know why I think you know that." That's the look he gave her, like, "Come on." So Candace's like, "No, it usually doesn't take that long." And here comes Melissa. She's got the test, and Candace looks at it. It's positive. She is pregnant. And Melissa's like, "It's okay. It doesn't matter that you're gay. We can be together." Blah blah blah. And it's all very stupid. And of course, Melissa wants his mother to help her parents, but Candace just puts out there, his mother is evil. She's not going to help your parents. Let me look at my notes, make sure I'm getting this right. So basically, Melissa blames Jeffrey. "You did this to me." Jeffrey's saying, "It's not my fault." And of course, it's time. Of course, Melissa's going to go into this. I'm going after you for child support and everything else. And Candace is like, there she is. There's the witch I was looking for. Because Candace, she had Melissa's number all the time. Melissa was playing this nice, scared girl act. But now the real sort of bloodthirsty, no holds barred woman comes out. And she basically cusses Candace out. "I'm sick of you." And she walks out. The room, like, "I'm sick of you." And Candace is like, "Wow, she's learning new words." So Benny stops by, and he and Jeffrey's leaving just as Benny stops by. Benny, so she wants to take Benny for a ride because she wants to show him the towing business that she bought. And Benny's afraid to get in the car. He's like, last time you had a car this nice, I ended up in jail. And she's like, I promise, it's legit. Stop acting like your mama. And she said, your mama, like Hanna isn't her mama too. I'm like, yeah, right. You're stuck with Hanna as your mama, whether you like it or not, Candace. And he wants to know how she's doing all this, and she takes him and shows him the towing business, and he's like, don't play with me, you're lying to me, how you're doing all this. And he wants her to take he wants her to take him to her job so he can see where she works. So we cut to David and Maggie still wants to drill down and instigate. She wanted him to find out that Veronica was up to no good. David tells her, well, my car was at Hannah's house, and she's like, Catherine Cryer's Hanna? I don't think Maggie knew that was Hannah's house, so that was a shock to her. And he explains to her the situation. She said, well, that's strange that her son had your truck. And Maggie's trying to ask all these questions. But it's clear that David does not know what Veronica was up to, but she's still trying to plant the seed. She's asking if Benny was handsome, and David's like, I don't know, I suppose so. And he's looking at her like, what are you up to? And Maggie's all like, she must really like him if she would let him drive your truck home and get him out of jail, blah, 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 all that. Maggie's not getting didn't get what she wanted yet, so, but we'll see if it comes out. And so Candace calls David while he's talking to Maggie. She blackmails him, and Candace is so cool about blackmailing somebody. She acted like she was talking to her boss, so that Benny could see that, because Benny's right in the room. Yet she's blackmailing David on the phone. She's basically telling him, you better get all this together so that it looks like that I have a job, all that. And David's like, well, I can't get all that together. And she says, well, maybe I can send a text to the media. Yet and still she's saying all this, and Benny doesn't have a clue that she's blackmailing somebody over the phone. And so they hang up, and David goes to Maggie, says, you got to get over to this law firm, get something together. You got to do this for me. And Maggie's like, okay, no questions really asked. She just jumps right to it. So back at Hannah's house, and this was a real good scene, she's still waiting for her car to show up. And Hanna wants to know, why are you having sex with my son? You have a husband and a son his age. And Veronica says, well, the first time I was just vulnerable. And she said, and the second time it was just good. And Hannah's like, you shut your damn mouth. And I don't blame Hanna for that one, because Veronica's just being disrespectful, plain disrespectful, and standing on Hannah's property, talking to her like that. And Hanna, she gets a little blackmail on of her own, so maybe that's where Candace gets it. She tells Veronica, you got 24 hours to tell your husband what's going on, or I'm going to tell him myself. Veronica's mad. I don't deal well with threats. Hanna snaps back, I don't deal well with your old ass coming after my son. You are too old and too married to be chasing after my son. So Veronica's mad that she called her out about that, and so she starts denigrating her house. This is a sad little house. All of that, and so she claims that, okay, well, I'll dig something up on you. You ain't squeaky clean, Miss Hanna. I'll dig something up on you to tell your son. And Hanna was reading Veronica down, reading her the telephone book. She's like, unlike your son, mine loves me, and he won't believe your lying, trifling ass. Now get off my property. And Veronica, she walks away, but she's like, ooh, this house was starting to give me highs. And Hannah's like, well, it must remind you of where you came from, huh? Oh, honey, I was never this low. That's what Veronica said. And I'm looking at my notes. I put all this down because it was too good for me not to talk about. And here's Veronica. She told Hannah, you really should change those mattresses. What have you been sleeping on them all your life? And what a thread count was that? 1, 2, 3, 7. I'll give you 7. And she's walking away saying all this, and Hannah just said, I'll change my mattresses when you climb back. Wait, wait, she didn't say that. She says, when you climb back in your tomb, Cleopatra, I will fumigate. And Veronica's like, oh, whatever. And Hannah won that round, because when you end up saying whatever, that means the other person won. Veronica said whatever, so Hannah won that round. Okay, and so at the end we see Jim and Wyatt. And Jim brings Wyatt to a cell, and he brings in Norman, which is the dude that Jim got to take the fall for Wyatt. And Norman says, well, it's awful in here. They try to kill me every day. And so Jim tells Wyatt and Norman to take off their clothes, and I'm like, what the hell? And so he has them switch clothes, and so he takes Norman out to dinner, and he leaves Wyatt in a cell. And Wyatt's like, oh, Dad, you can't leave me here. You can't leave me here. Oh, Dad. And Jim, oh, like, now it's Dad, is it? It's not Jim or whore or any of those other things you were saying to me. So Jim leaves him in there to teach him a lesson. But like I said before, I think it's a little too late to teach Wyatt a lesson. He's already been out and run over somebody, all of that. So that's how the episode ends. Now, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I was pleased with it. I was pleased with the episode. So if you like this review, rate it, leave a comment, and I'll see you next week, people. Deuces.